Ladies and gentlemen, the Freaky Fast broadcasting on your Monday night. We're happy to be back on Mondays. I know we had our issues last week. I'll try to give you the coverage of Gateway. It was a great one, and we got to see a new winner this season, a Thomas Green at Worldwide Technology Raceway last week for race number 7. But tonight, the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series get a new test. They're back to road course racing just a few weeks outside of Road America. And tonight we gonna go north of the border, heading to Canada for the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park for the Polite Moose 200 here this evening. These drivers haven't been here since season 5. That was the only time we've raced here at Canadian Tire. And tonight it's gonna be 10 laps longer. We've got some returning faces that we haven't seen all season long. We got drivers that are still searching for their first win this season. Again, we're all gonna be giving you the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting with myself, Sam Dyer, and joining me along on this ride, we've got Zach Hall. And Zach, we're back to Motorsport. This track is so unique from any other road course that we get to see. It certainly should give us a good show.
It really should. This track is very unique for sure when it comes to its layout and its design. I mean, if you look at the stats of it, it's a 2.46 mile track with only 10 turns. So you would look at it on a piece of paper and go, I mean, that probably is a pretty simplistic track. And if you even probably look at just the track layout itself, you'd be like, oh, it's pretty simplistic. But when you actually are there and you get to see the elevation changes, the off-camberness of the racetrack, just the bumps and all the character that this racetrack has, it really adds to this road course, and it makes it for quite a tough task for all these drivers to nail each and every single one of these corners. Even though it's only 10, you probably still won't come out of here saying you nailed all 10 for a good lap.
Yeah, I went back and rewatched this race again. ISRC Truck Series love every season to go to at least one unique road course throughout the season. And like we said, this is going to be the second time this track's ever been ran. But when we last were here, the whole entire talking point was tires. A lot of tire heat, tire wear, and it seems to be that's going to be the big talking point once again. But another one, returning drivers. A driver we have not seen since the last time we ran here at this track. Chase Schaefer, going to be now running the 41, was formerly the 99, will be back racing in the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series. Coincidentally, back to the same track that he dominated back in Season 5. We'll see if 41 can get it back to victory lane and say this is his track as we get ourselves prepared for qualifying. Vincent Sora, again, one of the favorites, I would say, here tonight. Zach, he's getting ready. I know you've heard the rumors. I've heard the rumors. There's been a lot of talking points. Danny Cochran, Vincent Sora, yet to win this season, but tonight they want to be tonight's winning driver.
That they do. They both want to get back to victory lane with those two teammates. So they put in a ton of practice. That's the talk between the town of them preparing for this race here coming tonight. So we'll see how well they can all put it together. And they were both, 1-2 in that practice timesheet. So we saw that the 2 and the 15 were close on lap time, but like you said, with returning drivers such as Chase Schaefer in the 41, he's not only the last time he raced here, but he also had the victory when he was here. So I think he'll be a driver to put right up in the mix. Also got Christopher Norris, who seems like he's been strong on the road courses in the past. Isaac Shelley looks to be very, very quick. Of course, Trenton Jump has always been one of the drivers up towards the front end of the field when it comes to John Forbes, always a threat to each and every track we go to. So it's a handful of people up here when it comes to who can get it done here tonight.
Looks to be over 20 drivers expect to be racing here this evening. And with the additive, when we last ran here, was 40 laps when they ran back in Season 5. Tonight, it's going to be 50 laps. Stage break's still going to be on lap 15. But these drivers will not have a stage caution. That means we're going to expect this race to be a one-stop. But that extra 10 laps mean there's extra chances of catching up to lap traffic, which was a big factor to how this race was finished out back in Season 5. Curious on how that's going to change things up. But drivers are getting ready for the first laps to count. Vincent Sora, one of those. These drivers are given 10 minutes to put down their fastest lap, and only 2 laps to do so. And with this track being as narrow as it is, the amount of speed you're carrying, you got to be careful to be making sure you stay on track. If you go off track at any moment, you can find yourself getting an incident point, which would invalidate your lap time. And these drivers know there is a big question. Is it lap 1 or is it lap 2 that you're looking for the maximum amount of speed? Drivers have their own thoughts on it, but right now we're seeing Vincent Sora on the backstretch, the Mario Andretti straightaway. These drivers get to tackle and now down into the S's of turns 9 and 10. It is Vincent Sora hoping to be top of the board, get himself a pole here this season, and rack a couple of more as the 15 around bend number 10. It's going to be seen if he can pop the board with his fastest lap now, or will it be the second lap? Because across the line, Vincent Sora, who was second fastest during practice, going to put a 1 minute and 21.2 second lap time. That's slower than his practice lap, but hoping to find a little bit of extra speed here in lap number 2.
Oh, and a big slide there entering in the 2A, and just got the rear end really stepping out down the hill as he heads down here to the middle sector of the racetrack. And you know, I don't think he's going to be the happiest with that lap time, because I look at the weather and the track temps. The track temp has dropped down to 98 degrees, so I'm expecting to see a lot of drivers pick up time possibly from that practice session. So I think if you're Vince Sawyer, you're definitely not liking that lap time, but we'll have to see if others can tackle that top time. So far as his brother Presence World holds on the second, but you can see, look at the big mistakes there, and that's where you're going to have to be good all night long, is getting out of that crazy section of the racetrack there, heading down that long straightaway.
Third fastest are in the practice sessions, and currently on lap number 1, here's the number 11 machine of John Forbes, as Forbes is coming around the last corner and getting ready for their time to count. And John Forbes, I think he might have that sneaky speed we're watching out for. Thomas Green, winner from last week at Gateway, third fastest currently. But that first lap for John Forbes, invalidated. He went off the track somewhere on this course.
That's a big mistake for Forbes. So he's going to have to try to do what Vincent Soto was trying to do, was, you know, run a quick lap on that second time around. But a lot of times at these road courses, especially with these trucks, the tires are already overheated by this point of the lap if you've overcooked any of the corners. So we'll see if Forbes can put together something here strong, but through the first sector, it's looking pretty decent on the lap time predictor.
Few drivers joining the 11 with their invalidated lap time. Martin Morales, his first lap was invalidated, but one of those drivers looking for a pickup. Fourth fastest during the practice, now the fastest currently on the pole time. Isaac Shelley, in the 71. Isaac Shelley with a 1 minute 20.915 lap time. That's almost 0.3 faster than Vincent Sora's time.
That was a great lap, and Isaac Shelley, a past winner of the road course here on ISRC back at Sonoma, has got it done. But it's Chase Schaefer, the last time winner here, immediately to the top of the board with a 20.84. Let's see if anybody else can take over that top spot.
Chase Schaefer was only able to get 7 laps of practice in, and he was only able to find a little bit of extra speed during that practice run. I was just trying to remember this course. No surprise, the driver that got the pole led the most laps and won this race back in season 5. Top of the board, a little bit under 1/10 faster than Shelley, almost 4/10 faster than Vincent Sora. Here's another driver who looked quick during that race back in season 5, finished second. It's Christopher Norris, but he touches the grass, goes sliding for a quick second. 38. His first lap might have to be a throwaway. At this moment, trying to cool off those tires, set up for lap number 2, but he's only got 4 minutes to do so.
We'll see if he resets, but it looks like no incident, luckily, even touching the grass there for him. So unless he got a 0x, which most likely you would get a 1x by going off track there. So I think he's all good there. Let's see if that slowed the lap time down at all. As now you power down this long back straightaway. Again, this is where a lot of the passing is going to be set up tonight, but this is such a crucial part of the lap for making quick and easy time.
Other fast drivers that are out on course running pretty similar on track currently. Danny Cochran going to be trying to get their first lap clocked in. Same for Christopher Norris that we see on screen. So we're expecting a few drivers really shake up our top 5, maybe even just the top 10. Also, Larry Yingling is out for his first lap. Austin Halsey with a return, going to be driving the 82 this season. Halsey going to be having that first lap invalidated. We'll see if the 82 can find an extra speed on his second lap. Will not be able to do so, as Christopher Norris, that first lap will count. Same for Danny Cochran, but they're all behind the 41. It's still Schaefer top of the board.
What a time from Schaefer just to come here late into the session, really put nothing down in the practice session other than a couple laps just to get a little bit of a warm-up. That is definitely a shot across the bow of everybody here tonight with him sitting on pole position. Let's see if there's some other drivers who have a chance and an opportunity to take it from him. This is the 80th Sipes right now. Cody Reed sitting on pit road. So I don't know if we'll see these drivers get an attempt. They have enough time to get back around to have an attempt, but it's just got to get going now, pretty much.
Yeah, Danny Cochran, Christopher Norris, they're still trying to attempt to go for that pole time as they continue to stay out on track. Same for Sipes, who just finished his second and final lap. Larry Yingling as well out there on course. And it looks like it's just going to be those three drivers of scene, likes of Christopher Norris, Danny Cochran, Larry Yingling, who will find a little bit of extra speed and maybe go for the pole time. You can see on our graphic there in the bottom left, Danny Cochran just about 4/100ths of a second off of Chase Schaefer. Needs to find just a little bit of inking speed, maybe just a little bit more smoothness out of exit of a corner. And the two giving it its all here off the exit of turn 10 and across the line, hoping for a faster time. And it does not look like it's gonna do. It's gonna be Chase Schaefer holding off both Danny Cochran and Christopher Norris. Yingling will try his best, but I don't think he's gonna find that extra speed. And it's the returning driver of the 41, Chase Schaefer, automatically back to the top of the board where he was just 2 seasons ago.
What a lap time, man. That is definitely quite the time that he wants to put up there. And, a great pickup from practice. I mean, a 21:46 to a 20:84. So pretty much the fastest time we've seen all night. And even Cochran, he picked up 6 thousandths from his lap from practice. So, he put it pretty much all together also. So we saw last time there was a really close battle between them two to start the race. We'll see if mistakes again show up to have any problem for any of those two, because that's how quickly things can slip away from you.
It really can slip away quickly as this group, after qualifying time finishes up here in the next 50 seconds, they will have an extra 5 minutes to get any last little bit of practice in as well. Let us take a look at our point standings and schedule, but 45 seconds left in qualifying. I mean, Zach, this track, that had a little bit of extra time, the extra 10 laps, the extra 10 laps of mistakes that could be coming out. I'm curious on how this extra time is going to change up this race compared to 2 seasons ago, where it really was just the 91, or I should say now the 41, just pulled away from everyone else. Schaefer did.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of interesting to add with the added 10 laps too, because I feel like the strategy was probably more cut and dry last time. Now we're going to see a little bit longer of a run, I believe, on these tires. So we could see that, management and tire fall off be the real telltale sign of who is going to be strong, of course. So we'll get to see that when everybody lines up, but it's going to be fun to watch that, because I think, again, the rear tires is what really these guys are going to have to manage, and you start slipping and sliding around this racetrack, it's going to be fun to watch.
As qualifying's coming to a conclusion, we enter our 5-minute warm-up period where, again, we get to take a look at our point standings and schedule so far this season. This is race number 8. We are coming to the closing races of the season before we go ahead into our playoffs, which playoffs going to be slightly different as we take a look at our point standings. Only the top 12 in points, just raw points, will automatically be making it into the playoffs. If you're between 13th and 20th in points and you have a win, you will be added as an extra driver into the playoffs. And currently that bubble spot, Christopher Norris, Samuel Garcia, as they are battling back and forth between one another in a pretty decent gap. Ironically, 38 points is the difference between 12th and 13th. So it's kind of putting in perspective, Zach, I would say if you're 13th to 20th in points, or even outside the top 20 in points, a win might be the only way you make it into the playoffs.
It very well might be. That gap is definitely growing, and I think these drivers are quickly running out of time. It's crazy to say we've already done 7 races. We're in our 8th race of the season. So, like you said, it could take a win from some of these drivers if they want an opportunity, and then you got to be at least 20th to have that opportunity. So we'll see how that works out for maybe someone later, throughout the season.
And notable names that are outside of our top 12 currently. I mean, Danny Cochran, a past champion back in season 3. We've got Final 4 drivers. Joshua Kanata, 17th in points. You've also got Ollie Fonseca, 22nd in points. Currently, Ollie actually was one of our biggest movers after last week's race, up 7 positions in points. That's a shocker to say. Ollie's been having a rough season for himself. But as we move away from looking at our point standings, we head over to take a look at our schedule, because it's been an up and down kind of variety of who's going to win where. And we're still seeing variety in victory lane. Still looking for the driver that is going to be a multi-time winner. It's Nick Crawford, the only one there, but seeing Thomas Green get that redemption after not winning at Iowa, it's got to be feeling good for that machine and team.
That's for sure. Getting that redemption is huge for Thomas Green and that team for sure. And then coming here to Canadian Tire, we could see a new possible winner here tonight. I mean, we've looked to the past of the road courses. It's been Nick Crawford. He's not able to compete tonight. So see who gets added in there. Maybe a first-time winner this season. And then we got the rest of the schedule before we head to Atlanta to start those playoffs on October 28th. So not much time before these drivers get to see it all on the line.
Absolutely not. In future races, again, Auto Club, New Hampshire, Charlotte, and the old Atlanta configuration is our next 4 races on the docket after tonight. And all 4 of those races have drama written all over it. If you look at the past and how those tracks have influenced past races, influenced drivers making it to the next round or not, it's going to be a fun rest of the season you do not want to miss out on. But as we got 2 minutes left in warm-up, this is our time to have our pick'ems. Who are drivers that we feel like are drivers to watch out for, who we think could be winners. And we're going to start off with my pick, who I thought maybe he would be a factor tonight. Didn't expect for him to be on top of the board immediately. I'm going with 41 of Chase Schaefer. He announced that he was returning yesterday, and it was just shocker to the league when he saw in Discord of Chase saying, how many races are left and when can I join? The 41 has joined, already is making an impact immediately. Chase is going to be a driver to watch out for. But Zach, who's your driver to watch out for here this evening?
I'm going to go with the driver that hasn't won in 11 races, needs a win this season too, and that's going to be the 2 of Danny Cochran. I think he's had speed this season. He's shown speed here in the past also at Motorsport, so I think he could possibly go out there and get it done tonight. Actually qualifying second, it's looking very strong for him, so we'll see if he can go out there and finally get that win this season.
You've got myself, Sam Dyer, you got Zach Hall, and the 3rd member of our crew here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, giving you all the graphics, the pictures, running production in the background. You got Robert Moyer Jr., and Robert's pick is Mark Whitley in the 77. Now, Mark's been a driver that's shown some moments of speed at road courses, and honestly, Mark needs an up type of a race. He's had some bad luck the last 2 races. He needs a good one here tonight. I like that pick of just a driver to watch out for here tonight.
That's for sure. I mean, Mark's always good at every single track and usually very strong at these road courses. Had a tough qualifying, but I think he had a mistake in that qualifying. So we'll for sure be watching him start 18th and climb his way slowly but surely up through the field.
And I want to say thank you to everyone that's watching with us here this evening, watching the ISRC Larry Art Productions Truck Series. As the title sponsor of this series is Larry Art Productions. Head on over to Instagram or on YouTube, type in Larry Arts Production, and check out some of the great videos. Larry recently has been doing a lot of food reviews, drink reviews of all the specialty items that have been coming out recently. He's been making great content that's hilarious to watch at times, informative in others, and just great content to get you through the day. Thank you to Larry Art Productions, who's been sponsoring the league, drivers, and races since basically season 1. It's been a major sponsor of this series, and thank you, Larry, to everything that you do. Warm-up's about to be concluding. That means it's about to be race time here tonight at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Motorsport in short, and we got 50 laps to figure out who's going to be winning here this evening. We do have a stage break at the end of lap 15. No stage yellow will be thrown. No fast repairs. We got 4 extra sets of tires in pit road. We're only expecting 1 tire set to be utilized here tonight because we got 1 pit stop, with the fuel mileage being around 30 to 31 laps. Everyone's expected to pit after the stage. But tonight, we get prepared in racing action as we take a look at our starting grid as top of the board. Returning driver, and the last time he raced was at this track where he won, got the pole, and led the most laps. Chase Schaefer, top of the board. Driver almost in a must-win scenario if he wants to make the playoffs. It's the 2 of Danny Cochran starting to his outside. Another fast road course drivers to watch out for in row number 2. You got Isaac Shelley, Christopher Norris, 3, 4. 5th place is Vincent Sora. John Forbes to his outside. Back in 7th and 8th, we find Trenton Jump. Thomas Green, our winner from last week, with Cedric Hunter 9th. And 10th place, we find ourselves with the 16 of Joshua Canada.
Starting in 11th is the 12 truck of Presley Sora with Larry Yingling beside him qualifying in 12th. 13th is going to be the 24 of Ali Fonseca with fan favorite back here in 14th of Joshua Stovall. 15th is going to be the 50 of Samuel Garcia with 16th going to Jarrett Talmadge in the 61 machine. 17th is going to be the 80 of Justin Sykes with Mark Whitley qualifying 18th. 19th is going to be Dakota Moniz with 20th, rounding our top 20 is Justin Campbell.
Then at 21st, we find Mark Morales Jr. and 22nd, Cody Reed. Cody's got a long journey to go through. Also another returning driver partnering up with the 41 of Chase Schreiber. Going to be seeing 82 of Austin Halsey, and Tyler Dingler going to be finishing out our 24 drivers here tonight. But hearing the fact that Tyler Dingler might be going with the starting park here this evening, and a few other drivers taking provisional points entering tonight. The 70 machine of Stephen McComas not going to be showing up here tonight. One of the many of drivers that and people that have been affected with the major storms that happened over this weekend, power outage in South Carolina. For McComas, he does not know when he's going to be returning, but we hope for the best and safety for that 70 team. Other drivers that are going to be taking provisional here tonight is Justin Smith, as well as Michael Miller, going to be missing out on this evening. As the drivers get rolling, again, 10 corners in total. 2 of those corners in turn 2 and turn 5 have 2 apex points, so it's going to be a little bit trickier to get through those corners, but overall, this track is a fun one to watch. But Zach, looking at the field where drivers qualified, who are you thinking are drivers are expected to be making that march through the field this evening?
You know, some of the ones, first off, I think it was Mark Whitley was Robert Fick. You know, he's back in 18th. Definitely messed up his qualifying lap. I think Cody Reed back in 22nd. He's going to be another hard charger. Even back in 20th, the 9 of Campbell, Justin Campbell of Road America, showed a ton of speed. So some of these drivers starting outside this top 18 even could really make a charge for it. I even like some Presley Soar back in 11th. You know, there's really a lot of opportunity for a lot of drivers throughout the mid portion of this field, because these trucks a little bit different than some of the other stock cars, such as the next gen, where you don't really see tire fall off. You do in these trucks, and you will start to see some drivers fade away, while others will start to come into their own as the run starts to happen. So it's going to be fun to watch, and I think with a little bit longer race here too, you're going to have to conserve those Goodyear tires just that little bit more, where we might see that little bit more passing.
Looking back from the rear deck lid of Chase Schaefer, getting to see the Lexus 71 of Isaac Shelley. I'm looking at how this field's been running here tonight, and looking back at that season 5 race, there was a lot of hype around there could be a lap 1 caution with cold tires. The way that this track sometimes ebbs and flows with those colder tires, this first 1 to 2 corners is going to be critical for this field, making sure that you're not running each other over, which has been a talking point for most of the league. How do you keep yourself out of trouble? There really isn't any safe place here tonight. Again, 50 laps in total. Stage break at the end of lap 15. It's all about who can get into victory lane. For some drivers, it's a good points day. Get to be inside of the top 10 for stage bonus points. It's a solid night for yourself. For others, it's simply just stay on track for the whole evening. We'll see how this field's going to get ramped up and ready to go once again. Thank you for joining with us for race number 8 of the season for your ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series. The Polite Moose 200 gets ready to get rolling. It's Chase Schaefer, Danny Cochran, side by side as we roar down into turn number 1. Here we go, turn 1. Who's going to keep it all together? Schaefer's going to have the better run on the inside. Danny Cochran's hoping for the blitzing speed on the outside quarter panel, but a little bit of slipping and sliding back for 3rd place, but it's all Schaefer for now. Cochran's going to fall all the way back to 4th place, and it's going to be Christopher Norris, Shelley finding the spacing, and it's the 2 falling back to 4th place.
Man, for a moment there, I thought the 2 of Cochran had the preferred position to be on the outside of Schaefer there in that corner, but just a little too overzealous, too deep, loses the nose, and that caused them to lose 2 spots with it, with Christopher Norris jumping from 4th to 2nd. So great job from the 38, who actually finished 2nd to Schaefer here last time we were at this track. So the 1-2 in the same position we left last time.
And you're seeing drivers really trying to get on the brakes. This is turn 5, A and B. Drivers trying their best to not run into one another. We can see how tight the exit of the turn 5B can be for these drivers. Now down the long stretch, this is the Mario Andretti straightaway, which is technically 2 corners with the slight kinks that they deal with on these straightaways before they go into the quick turn 8. Well, this is further on back, racing for 16th, 17th position. Right on board with Simon Garcia, and it is a tight window. You're trying to go, and oh no, the 50! Slight contact, trying to keep it together. He will keep it straight, but major loss of positions. It's over 4 spots lost in just 1 corner.
That was contact between him and the 9 of Campbell and the 25 of Cody Reed. So the 2 trucks we thought that were going to be coming forward, already making big moves to position themselves towards the front, but having some contact doing so as everybody snakes down here to turn number 2 down this long left-hander of a hill.
fastest drivers up front. You see there for a quick moment. That's 46, Trent Jump, just grazing the grass. And 7th to 1st, only 2 drivers to change positions. Christopher Norris, Danny Cochran. Norris up 2 spots. Danny Cochran down 2. And everyone else inside our top 7, right where they qualified. A little bit of movement's been happening from 8th on back. Drivers losing or gaining 1 position. And it's really going to be a sense of who's going to be saving their tires, who's overcooking them. And it's going to be a good sign here in the next 4 to 5 laps. Who is really been prepared for tonight's race?
You're exactly right, Sam. We'll really be able to tell here very quickly, because if you go out there and overheat them, you quickly start to drop off that cliff of tire fall off. If you go out there and work them slowly in, you can really make up a lot of time later as the run goes on. So we'll see who those drivers are. As right now, you can see Cedric Hunter up here ahead of the 18 of Thomas Green, last week's winner at Gateway. As this top, I'd say really 9 is kind of broke away from about 4 seconds to the lead. And then you got about a second gap back to Kanata.
As one driver having issues, losing a couple of handful of positions. Pressy Sora losing 3 spots. It was going into turn number 8, just a little bit too much speed, and slid into the grass. Was the 12, and losing 3 spots back to 14th position. Has a lot of work to go forward, but it's all the traffic behind him that this 12's got to be worried about.
That's for sure. He has got heavy traffic behind him, and look at the 9 and the 25 still right here together. They also got Mark Whitley right here in the 77 as the 25 Reed finally does close that door, makes the pass, and he'll move himself up to 17th. Now with his sights set on the 80 of Justin Sipes, but it's a train of trucks here, so if you make one mistake, you're not going to lose 1 spot, you're going to lose multiple.
And still watching again, these drivers exiting out of turn 5B and just running into one another. It's basically, they call it turn 5A and B, but it's 2 separate corners. You are really having to get your hands full of as each driver gets into one another. Small little bumps here or there. Then down this long straightaway, trying to utilize the draft as much as you possibly can before going into turn 8, which I mean, Zach, this straightaway into turn 8, the passing opportunities aren't as great as some other past racetracks we go to, as Cody Reed right in front of this 9 getting a little bit out of control as Mark Whitley just continues to hound Justin Campbell. And Campbell now has to ride high. Those 3 drivers right on top of one another. Mark Whitley, big wiggle for himself as we hop on board. As moving forward is the 9 of Campbell, but he loses the spot. Reed continues to hold on.
Holding on, but they're wrecking up in front of him, guys. I think that's the 80 of Sipes. He goes around out of turn number 1, and he's going to get it back going, but that was close to that action happening right there as Reed does get the pass back on Campbell to move himself back to 16th. But, man, it's just showing you that everybody's a little feisty right now as Cedric Hunter. Looks like he's going to maybe take an opportunity here to look at the 24 Valley Fonseca.
Trying to find a spot. Will Ollie just lay over, or will he continue to fight? This is for 10th place. Big point to be grabbed for this 24 that just needs to continue to fight to get inside of the top 20 in points and have an opportunity to have a win in your in scenario. As Cedric Hunter, on the other hand, just trying to fight to get as many points as possible for himself. Currently tied with 10th in points is the 13. Looking back from the likes of Larry, looking at this Larry Yingling machine. Zach, got a little bumper sticker for yourself.
Yeah, I just noticed that actually now until our producer started laughing at right here for a second. But thank you, Larry. I appreciate the shout out there. But Joey Legato is not my driver.
Some drivers have some fun out there, and Larry Yingling obviously having fun on the vehicle, but on front of him having a little bit of a stressful moment. Also joining into the mix has got to be Joshua Stovall, as still Ollie Fonseca, hard defensive moves. And looking back to that season 5 race 2 seasons ago, Ollie Fonseca, the 24, was probably the most aggressive defensive driver. I watched that whole entire race, and it looks like the 24 is right back at it once again as drivers are running wide, but they're willing to fight. They're going to be 2 by 2 as Larry Yingling is going to take the major advantage as Cedric Hunter loses major time.
Hunter almost gets into the 12 of Pressy Sora right behind him. He gathers it up. Now the 42 of Stovall's going to the pictures. Contact between Yingling and the 24 of Fonseca. This might open the door for the 42 here as they might go 3 wide.
Almost think about 3 wide, but Stoll's got to be careful. He gets back in line, and now the group just continues to clog up even more. It is a gaggle of cars, this whole train, all because Ollie Fonseca just didn't want to let drivers go on by. Instead, it's 2x2 heading into turn 8. This is a nightmare you don't want to see. Who's going to make it through this corner? Because no one has any time to give. They have to stay side by side. A little bumps here or there. They continue to keep it together, and it's going to be seen somehow. Presley Sora's the one who sticks his way through all the madness.
He was the last one of this group when they came into that lap last time by, so he made about 4 positions in 1 lap there from the opportunity of what happened over there. Now Fonseca under attack. Here's the 25 of Reed, the 42 of Stokel still stuck behind him, losing spots. This is looking like a plate race back here.
This is giving me flashbacks to what we were seeing at Bristol when Ollie Fonseca was kind of being stuck in trouble and following Cedric Hunter, who was kind of falling backwards. Now it's the 24 that's kind of been the machine that's going backwards, and if you get stuck behind him, you're losing track time as Ollie Fonseca stays low. Cody Reed just can't get into the throttle, and it continues to try to fan themselves out, but trouble some spots, and you hate to see that for Joshua Stovall, who is kind of trying to tag along with Presley Stora as Cody Reed. Ollie Fonseca make contact, more drivers bumping into one another. Mark Whitley muscling his way forward, and all these drivers. Turn 5 has been kind of the bumper car section of this course, and you just have a feeling someone's going to get turned. The question is, who will be the sad victim that does get tossed around?
This has been a great race, and it's bringing a smile to my face watching these guys battle back here, man, because this is what it's all about. This track here, the passing opportunities are few and far between, but there is opportunities, and 5 is where everything sets up, and it's just been fun to see them grouped up in that set of corners because, man, it's just such a slow speed corner that it gives that opportunity, that availability to be a lot faster down the straightaway. But I'll tell you one thing, it's starting to happen. The battle for lead's actually starting to heat up. Schaefer made a mistake last time in 5, and Christopher Norris is all over him.
He's all over him, and Christopher Norris going to be pushing a little bit more aggressive through turns 3. Also going to be seeing Shelley's with a bit of a slide, but heading through that Quebec corner of turn 3, Norris was just willing to give it all there, and now has to send it back up into turn number 5. Schaefer going to be seeing Shelley holds on to that outside lane. Danny Cochran wanting to take advantage off the exit of 5B. They will be side by side for 3rd place, but Norris looks very quick through turns 1 and 2. It's the exit of 2A where he's been having the trouble to stay attached to this 41's back bumper, but this is close enough. This is that zone you're looking for, that if there is a mistake, the 38 can pounce on it.
That's true, and then look at this back here. The battle's been heating up. It's Shelley. It's going to turn him and Cochran.
Oh, Shelley goes off into the tire wall. Danny Cochran into the grass. Danny going to be seeing John Forbes and Vincent Sora go through. And I don't know if we have got a replay of that. We might need a couple of different angles, but Danny Cochran, Shelley battling for 3rd. Now, Shelley's race could be over. It was looking like a spectacular run. Done and dusted just on lap number 7.
Yeah, his engine is smoking, so that truck is destroyed. And yeah, from looking at that myself, Sam, it looked like possibly a little bit of net cut. I mean, it was definitely some close pinching here. The 2 of Cochran, as we're going to go back and look at it here, he's going to get on that quarter panel of the 71. But I will say this, with the angle attack the 71 had, it looked he was always going to push wide there. And those 2 just coming together, a little bit of net code actually spins them out pretty aggressively. And that's just 2 drivers fighting for the same real estate.
It's just one of those bang bang things. You're looking for maybe a little bit of extra space. I mean, we're still not even 10 laps into this race. We aren't even still close to the stage break. We just got halfway to the stage, and we're racing that hard. And for Danny Cochran and for Shelley, see the spin. The 71 running 3rd. Now we'll finish all the way back in 22nd position. You hate to see it for a driver that was looking for a spectacular run. Like we said, he entered tonight 18th in points. He did a good points day, now no longer there. But what's there is a battle for the lead. It's going to be Schaefer, Norris, side by side. This was a battle we were kind of denied 2 seasons ago, and now it's Christopher Norris having an opportunity. He's been looking a lot more stable on the inside of turns 1 and 2. Schaefer, though, giving a little bit of extra gas and keeps his nose ahead of the 38. But all this battling is bringing in Vincent Sora and John Forbes. Oh, boy, Norris, big save for himself there.
Big save. Yeah, it was a huge loss of time and lost the rear there on that entry and really had to regather it up. And with these two racing up here, it's brought, like you said, Vincent Sora, John Forbes right back into the battle. Even if you're Danny Cochran, you're 2.4 seconds back from this. But this grouping, all four of them is together, and Schaefer looks to be struggling a little bit with the rear tires. So this could stack things up. So we got quite a race on our hands still.
The fuel window for these drivers, 31 laps. So they're expecting, again, after this stage is over, that's when they'll think about pit stops. And if you're Danny Cochran and others, I mean, Zach, at this point, you're closing in the gap. Drivers are already starting to sense a little bit of wear and tear in those tires. Are you thinking about maybe going for that early pit stop to look for an advantage for this too, or are you pushing it as far as you can go and hope you got the better tires for late in this run?
If you feel like you got the pace over them on the long run, you keep pushing. You know, that's where you kind of close this time down. Then you might take the opportunity to jump them all. But the earliest you're going to see someone pit, if they're looking to do a one-stop here tonight, is around lap 19. Like you said, 31 laps of fuel. So 19 is when that window is going to open up. I think a lot of your pit stops probably around 23, 24, 25. That region of maybe splitting in half just a little bit before halfway is when you're going to see a lot of these drivers most likely like to do it. But you could see some drivers take that early opportunity to pit, you know, with 31 to go and try to take it to the end. So we'll have to see if there's that major plateau in the lap time, or does the drop off continue.
And we'll watch the battle now for second place. Vincent Sora going to have one of his first attempts to try to go after Christopher Norris. John Forbes, Norris's teammate, is lingering behind. The 11 continues to stay in foot, and the two blue machines look quick, and they've been patiently waiting to run down our leaders, and they are finally there. Again, Schaefer has looked to be wounded for the past, I would say, 5 laps or so. Since we hit that marker, we thought there was going to be a transition on the tires. Norris thought maybe he'd capitalize, wasn't able to, and now it's Vincent Sora, John Forbes looking very strong at this current time. Other battles that are happening on track, 9th place. You got Preston Sora and Cedric Hunter on who's going to be getting better bonus points between 9th and 10th place. And then outside of the top 15, Joshua Stovall and Justin Campbell just got done with their duel, and Mark Whitley starting to get into the fray there on who will be inside of our top 15. But with 10 laps to go, who will be the stage winner is the true question at this point. As Sora, as Presley Sora, you see on screen for the 12 and the 13 of Cedric Hunter, giving a good show for 9th and 10th.
These two have been kind of glued together for this majority of that run. We saw Cedric Hunter lose a spot trying to pass Fonseca, and really Presley Sora used that to his advantage to hop in front of him. Those two have kind of walked away from Larry Yingling, who just kind of fell back to his zone by himself in 11th as the gaps continue to grow, but still that grouping around really 12th is still kind of singled up. Is this the 24 Fonseca? He goes around through turn 2.
Ollie's night just continues to get worse as a little bit of a slip up, losing 5 positions for himself. Now going to be back in 17th place. And it's tough because Ollie Fonseca used to be a very consistent road course driver for the first, I would say, 4 seasons of the ISRC Truck Series. He was always inside of the top 10, battling and was consistently. There's Mark Whitley. Stovall getting into contact. They continue to bump. Mark Whitley muscling his way past that brown machine. And Whitley, willing to use some elbows there through turn 5.
It is a tough corner to go too wide through, and that shows you why, because those two right there were using every bit of room on each other. I mean, Stovall hits him on the entry. Whitley hits him in the middle of the second complex of turn 5 right there, and then gets away from the 42 because he's going to want to quickly do that. When you use that, you know, those elbows a little bit, sometimes you got to get away quickly so they can't use the elbows back on you.
As now Stovall's got to recenter. He still has to defend. There's more drivers behind him. Ollie Fonseca going to be trying to get back on an attack on the 42, but up front, you got to go back to the battle for second place. Christopher Norris's tires are fading quickly. He's tried multiple attempts to go after Schaefer the last 2 laps, and it just has not worked out. His tires are starting to fade away. Mistakes are showing off the exit of the corner, but still defending is Christopher Norris over Vincent Sora. Now John Forbes, Danny Cochran, they're into the mix, and what's crazy is Danny Cochran's caught him all back, even with that incident between Shelley and Cochran. That 2 is back into the mix. Our top 5, all within a second and a half of one another.
Last time by, Danny Cochran a 1:21.9. No one even within a tenth of him. There's now the 15's going to look to the outside of the 38, and that's going to send him off track.
Off into the gravel, and Vincent Sora's got to be careful getting back out on course. Luckily, there's no other close battles around him, but that's a major loss of time. went with a very gutsy call going on the outside. I don't expect anyone to make that pass work unless we're maybe 2-3 laps into a fresh set of tires. I am shocked this late into a run, you're attempting that big of a move.
That was a gutsy move for sure, go around the outside there. It is a move that can work if you can keep it alongside through the right-hander. The be on the inside, the left-hander, of course, you'll be back on the outside for the final corner. So it is a tough, spot to try to say set up a pass, but it is a possible passing zone for you. But I think right there what really happened is the 38, was defending that inside. The 15 goes to the outside. The 38 kind of slides over in the braking zone to kind of squeeze that 15. I don't know if it spooked Vincent Sora, but it seemed like maybe he caught the grass a little bit, but lost the rear of that race car, and that made him make a mistake. And now he's making a mistake behind these guys in turn 5, so he's going to lose even more time until about 4 seconds back from this lead. So 15 going to have to quickly regather it up as he's lost a good chunk of time after battling for second.
Has to be careful. It continues to lose time. Trenton Jump and also Thomas Green, who kind of been in their own no-man's zone, just continue to hit their great marks in. Again, some drivers are racing for great points. Others are racing for a win. Majority of the drivers out here on track just racing to stay on course, and that's what Trenton Jump, Thomas Green, Joshua Kanata, those 3 drivers keep their nose clean. Currently 6th, 7th, and 8th on track currently.
That's the key here, man, to have a good finish. Just keep the nose clean. That is, so a lot of times I always tell drivers that don't feel confident in these tracks is just keep it on course, limit the mistakes, and at the end of the day, you end up with usually a pretty good finish because of the attrition and the mistakes that happen between so many drivers on a tough racetrack like this. So something that I really look for drivers to be able to do is just be able to keep it on track.
Trying to keep it on track has been our front 10, majority of them for the night. Having that one issue with Shelley and Cochran, going to be a smudge of our top 6 drivers on the way that they were racing one another. There are a couple of close groups, though, that continue to race on. One of those being the pack that's racing for 13th. You got Joshua Kanata, Cody Reed, Mark Whitley. They're giving it their all, but they are outside of the top 10. Those are not bonus points you can be grabbing for yourself here tonight. They need to be trying to run down Larry Yangling currently, but a big scare happening on track. Trent Jump, we just praised him. He disappeared for quite a while, for almost about quarter of the track. He was off of course and now is back on the session, still in 6th place, but you gotta hope that those internet connections stay connected, because you could easily be bumped out if you have more dropouts like that.
That's for sure. Yeah, you don't want to see that happen too much for yourself, because they can quickly not count a lap sometimes if you really count the wrong spot. So Jump's not gonna want to see that, but I tell you what, it's heating up. The lap times are still closing in for Christopher Norris. He's starting to close back up Chase Schaefer. Vincent Sora's the fastest truck on the racetrack, and he's closing back in on the battle ahead of him. We have far from yet to see the battles up front. It's even throughout the field right here. You're watching Campbell, Reed, and Whitley, who have been kind of mired together. They are all battling still.
They continue to put on some of the best shows on track currently. Is this battle for 14th position? Other great battles, again, has been our top 5. Danny Cochran and John Forbes racing for 3rd place. That is one of the closest drivers on track for position. As we are on the white flag of the stage, it's all about who crosses the line. Our top 10 that are going to get those stage bonus points. Everyone in the top 10 easily going to be in those positions to get bonus points, as Cedric Hunter has a 4.5-second lead over Larry Yingling for that 10th place position. The question is, inside of the top 10, where will drivers finish? Because Presley Sorvin and Cedric Hunter, they're close to one another. Kanata and Green, they're close. And you see on screen, the battle for 3rd is raging on. John Forbes, Danny Cochran, they're close, but they're not close enough to make a pass off the exit turn 10. Your stage winner here tonight for the Polite Moose 200 is going to be the returning driver, Chase Schaefer. Congratulations to the 41 team, as everyone else continues to race on. Here's the battle for 10th off the exit of turn number 10, and it will be the 12 holding strong over Hunter for 9th position.
Oh, and he's going to drift off into one, losing the rear end there. Sora, this might be Cedric Hunter's best opportunity here with a good run heading to turn 2. Does he look down the inside? Tough spot to make a pass here, because when you're pinched off, you really want to, truck wants to spin out as you go down that hill. But now Sora going to have the inside here for this next right-hander. We'll see if Hunter can maybe do the crossover. That's going to be the best way to set this up if you want to make a pass.
Trying to back off, go for a crossover move, and set up for turn number 5 if possible. now going to be exiting, setting up, and Sora continues to bob and weave and do everything possible to make this truck a little bit bigger than it actually is. But Cedric Hunter just not seeing an opening at this current time for turn 5. And instead, we'll stay in the tire track, sets up for a better exit, but there's no wiggle, just got a little overzealous, saw the opportunity, and maybe you feel a little bit smoother on that throttle, could have had the better exit, but instead, we'll have to stay behind. So gonna be that of Presley Sora for another lap.
This is a great example of why it's tough to pass here. It is so easy to get close to somebody, but once you get close to them, it's hard to be able to get back to the power and be able to use that momentum to get to them. It's so easy just to spin the rear tires up, overheat them, overwork them, and next thing you know, you're just losing time to the driver ahead of you on the straightaway. Whereas that's the place you want to gain time. The straightaway is the easiest place to gain it, and when you're not putting the power down to the ground, that is not happening for sure. So Cedric Hunter going to probably try to reformulate something, because it's mostly a battle between those two, as Kanata in front of them, not too far up the road, actually having a mistake is the 16, so they'll probably actually come into the picture here with Kanata here in a few moments.
Trying to close in the gap if possible, as Joshua Kanata having about a 1.5-second gap over Presley Sora and others. It's 16. Kind of has been in no man's land at moments, has been close to Thomas Green. Will resettle and run for himself, but other battles are happening on track. The battle for third place looks to be seeing Danny Cochran attempting another pass, but not getting teammate help until now. Vincent Sora will drop to the inside and try to work with the 2, but John Forbes continues to stay side by side. They're heading into the dangerous turn number 8, where we've seen the most issues for driver strike trying to go for a pass. They'll stay side by side. John Forbes continues to march his way as they're almost bouncing off of one another down into the S's of turn 9, setting up for turn 10. They still stay side by side. Danny Cochran's in the better position, but Forbes trying to hold strong on the outside groove. He'll stay there. Vincent Sora almost thought about going 3 wide. Instead, will push his teammate into turn number 1, and somehow they're still fighting back and forth, and Cochran pushing and shoving every way possible to keep this third place position, but just cannot complete it yet. The grass is calling, but they both stay on track.
Oh man, this battle is wild, but it's holding all 3 of them up. Vincent Sora right now in the toughest position because he wants to see his teammate go by, but he also wants to get by him as Cochran makes the pass. So does Vincent Sora. Now Sora is going to go to the outside of his teammate. This could be his opportunity here. Does he fall in behind?
You fallen behind or let your teammate go. The tough decision and the amount of tires that you had to work on to even make that pass happen. It's got to be frustrating because you just went from being within 1.5 seconds to your leader, just over a lap of battling back and forth. You've lost over 3 seconds. I mean, this is crazy amount of time that was lost for this pack of 3 compared to our front 2.
Wild to see when you lose that much time just racing side by side, but it's because this track is such a one-line racetrack. When you get side by side like that, everybody is giving something up. The outside is just holding up the inside because you're on the door, not allowing them to use the full racetrack, and then when you're on the inside, you're not able to put the power down, so you can't go as fast. So it's really one of those things where it just slows both of you down, and it really makes you lose time. So going to have to be getting on that horse, the 2 and the 15, if they want to go catch our leaders.
5 to Dakota Mooney has had a rough couple of weeks. Thought that at one moment he wasn't going to be returning for the rest of the season. Didn't come back for tonight's race. Currently racing with Samuel Garcia for 18th position. But Dakota, not the strongest road course driver. Currently is just trying to stay out on track. And in 19th position, not the worst place to be, as there's been other drivers that have had worse nights. As 4 currently sit in pit road. Austin Halsey will not be able to finish out tonight's race. Justin Sipes and Isaac Shelley both have called it an evening after early troubles. And Tyler Dangler, he announced, talked to him, said he was going to just do a start park, run a few laps, and then call it an evening, and he'll be 21st position, just sitting in pit road watching tonight's race. Only 20 drivers officially out on track, and lap traffic doesn't look to be a factor just yet for our leaders, but one factor that's about to grow is pit stops. We're about to hit the window of green flag pit stops opening up for at least the fuel window, and we'll see who's willing to take that early stop and early advantage, or is everyone going to split this race in half? I think that's going to be the big question, Zach, of who's willing to make that early gamble.
That's for sure. Who's going to make that gamble is going to be the big question, because like you said, that window is opening up now. But you know, I think the question for me is then what do the leaders look to do? Because the leaders, again, Christopher Norris, Chase Schaefer just right on top of one another. And while I say that, Danny Cochran is 0.7 to a second faster than our leader. So he's quickly closing in. Same for Vincent Sora. Those two's long run pace looks to be immaculate. The strategy could be what wins you this race. So the 41, the 38, the 2, the 15, all of them have to be thinking long game here and what do they want to do when it comes to strategy here very quickly.
I mean, looking at the pace of everyone that's inside of our top 4, or you can even say our top 5 with John Ford, whoever's got the clean air besides Chase Schaefer is the faster machine that's out there on track. I think everyone inside of our top 5 has some type of speed, from second to fifth, has faster speed than Schaefer if they've got clean air in front of them, but just no one can find an opportunity to get by Norris or this 41 of Schaefer, so they have to just keep at their pace, even if you catch up to the front 2.
That's exactly right. And Schaefer, a little bit of this mistake there, heading down to the edge of that corner, that closed the gap back down as Christopher Norris does look really good through this last section of the track. If he can just get ahead, I think, like you said, he can probably put down some quicker lap times than what Schaefer's doing and try to open that gap back up. But Cochran, Sora, both of them behind both. Again, a 0.5 second to about 0.7 quicker those two were. And even John Ford is matching our leader. So like you said, again, clean air is just seeming like it's king.
Looking at Danny Cochran, I mean, every time we exit out of turn number 10, seeing the shots in the front 2, that 2 machine was being very sideways off the exit of these corners. He is putting everything down, and that's a sign to me that he knows pit stops are calling very quickly. Might as well use up all the rubber you've got left as you hop on board with the 2, as he's hitting every mark possible to go for a good run. First driver to hit pit road, though, is going to be Cody Reed back in 17th position. Yeah, we'll see if the 25 can gain any advantage here right when the fuel window opens up. As you see the 2 machine, trying everything possible to run down our top 2.
That is, it's trying a lot of things. I mean, seems like the fall off has kind of plateaued out, so I'm interested to see if maybe a undercut like Cody Reed's doing works out for the 25. So we'll see how that shapes up. But your Cochran, you can kind of see up ahead. The 38, the 41 are almost side by side, and that's kind of what you want to see, because you saw how much time you lost battling with the 11 machine. Well, you want to make sure that that is not the case. That plays out this time. But right here, Cochran a little bit tight there on the exit, but he's just able to gather it up on the exit curve. So again, right there, much quicker than our top 2 out front and gaining time.
One of the running jokes that some of the drivers kept on throwing out to Danny Cochran was, if he didn't get caught speeding, back when they first ran here at Motorsport 2 seasons ago, the only time they ran here, Danny Cochran had to spin out. He looked to be the fastest driver run down Schaefer, but then was caught speeding going into pit road. That's an easy mistake these drivers could have, of just overworking these cars on track as well as going into pit road. You got to be careful, as now into pit road is going to be the 13 of Cedric Hunter. You can see the very top of that pink machine. Here's the league chat's favorite driver in the brown. It's the 42 of Joshua Stovall, who's able to make the pass over those drivers that have pitted. Now up to 14th position is this 42 machine.
Up to that 14th position. Got about a 2-second gap back to Dakota Menez, and then about an 8-second gap behind there, Yingling. So a little bit no man's land right now is the 42 of Stovall, but still haven't quite denied his. Ooh, he's going to flirt with disaster there with the grass, and that's going to allow the 5 to close in just that little bit more. Same with the 50 of Samuel Garcia. And I think Cedric Hunter on the new tires only going to be about 9 seconds back from this group. So we'll see how fast the tires are once they take off. But man, I'll tell you what, definitely a lot of drivers, I think, wanting to get the pit road. But the thing is, if you come this time, Sam, your last run of the race is the longest run of the race for you. So you're going to be struggling just as much, if not more, than this race if you pit early.
Yeah, it's find out how bad do you really want to deal with these tires. Do you want to deal with the tires being awful all the way until 20 to go, or do you want to pit halfway and just make it an equal troublesome spot for the first half of the race to the end? Some of the drivers have already pitted. They've made the decision. The second half of the race is going to be the toughest part of this whole entire race. You got to be pushing and being aggressive while saving your tires, as it looks like Joshua Stovall is making the call, pit road for the 42. And that, whenever you hear that beeping sound, that's when the drivers are entering pit road. And you're going to be hearing that beeping sound get a lot more active in the next 2 laps once we get to halfway in this race. Lap 25 to 30 is going to be the big time that we see a majority of the drivers in our top 15 make that pit stop strategy call for themselves. But up front, it is still Chase Schaefer, Christopher Norris. Then it's a 2.5 second gap back to Vincent Sora now, leading that pack of 3 of Sora, Cochran, and John Forbes that are trying to make their way forward. I think that was probably a team call of, you know what, I'm not running them down anymore. You give it a chance, Sora, to go run down our top 2.
I actually went back and looked at it too. Same as Christopher Norris coming into pit road. Early stop for him. I like this call. Oh, man, he almost made a mistake. He caught the guardrail there. But I kind of like this call here at early stop. He's been quicker than Schaefer. Get the track position ahead of him. This could be the right decision for this 38 team. But went back and also looked at for the position for the 2 machine. He actually went off in turn 5. That allowed Vincent to get a nice, clean, easy pass on him. So we'll see what happens with the 2 of Cochran. Will he come to pit road quickly? Because they know now that John Forbes also pitted. They could get jumped by the 11, and they don't want to be passing John Forbes once again.
No, and I think for the likes of Christopher Norris, I think for sure this is the best call he can be making. As long as he gets out on track with clean air to work with, and you're on track behind other drivers, this is a great call by the 38. For Chase Schaefer, though, this is going to be a big question mark. Do you retaliate this lap or the next? Because if you wait a lap, Christopher Norris should, in theory, take over that lead position just based off of having better tires for an extra lap. While Chase Schaefer, on the other hand, open maybe for some mistakes that could crack and help out his 41 to keep the lead position. It's Sora, Danny Cochran, they have their own race, and they stay in front of the 11 machine. And here we go, this is going to be the big question. Is pit road calling for the rest of our top 3, or do they stay out for an extra lap? And Schaefer stays out for an extra lap. It looks like for Vincent Sora, he's showing signs of potentially going to pit road. It is pit road for the 15. It is pit road for the 2. For Trent Jump, he stays out for an extra lap. He'll take over that 2nd place position.
Very interesting calls here for Chase Schaefer. If you're Schaefer, I don't think you can stay out for another lap after that, because that's just going to allow possibly 4 or 5 trucks to jump you. If you got to pass trucks, we've seen already, the clean air has been very valuable. As soon as you get the truck off the nose of your truck, everybody's been quicker than Schaefer up front. He's just been managing the lead very, very well. Will he come down this time is going to be the huge question. I think you got to if it is that in the call.
Hear all the beeps of drivers entering pit road, getting service done. A gaggle of cars coming in that lap, being led by Christopher Norris, who currently is trying to get by Larry Yangling in the 67. Yangling is not just laying over, he is still fighting for the 5th place position. Norris, with fresher tires, just doesn't look like he's willing to be aggressive here. He's hoping to see the 67 just move over and let the fresher tires go, but Yangling, he's got his own mindset because he's helping out his teammate of Vincent Sora to run down this gap. The gap is shrinking quickly for the battling between 6th and 7th. That could be for the lead when Schaefer enters pit road.
That is a critical position, and you're Vincent Sora, you are licking your chops as the 38 big wiggle there. Couldn't get the power down, now stuck again behind England for this set of corners. This is huge for Christopher Norris. It has been a huge chunk of time game for the 15 of Vincent Sora. He is looking to be in the prime spot, and we'll see now as Chase Schaefer, yeah, he's in the pit road, so this is going to be interesting to see. Did he hold up the 38 enough to where the 41 still comes out with the lead?
It finally gets out of the way, but did he help Vincent Sora too much to the fact that they helped out Chase Schaefer? Schaefer's about to be leaving pit road as they're exiting into the front stretch. Schaefer's exiting out of turn 1 out of pit road, and Larry Yangling helped out Vincent Sora to close in the gap to Norris, but it backfired. Neither one of them are ahead of Schaefer. It works out for the 41. A dagger that hurts both Norris and Sora was following Larry Yangling for that long.
Oh no, if you're Christopher Norris, you are right now not in the greatest of mood after all that, because it did not play out to how you thought it was. You thought you were going to undercut. You were right behind the 41 of Schaefer. He was closer to Schaefer than he is right now when he came to pit road, and that is going to be a huge punch to the gut of that 38 team. Is the 15 of Vincent Sora. We already saw him, the 38, have a little bit of, a hard racing moment earlier where the 15 went off. Now we'll see it as the 15 willing to use that bumper to get around the 38, because I don't think he can wait too long for the 38 here.
No, I don't think there's really any time that you can waste right now, because Chase Schaefer is going to pull away to a gap here for these next few laps. The question is, can you run him down later on? I think everyone in this field knows they've got a better long run pace than Schaefer, but the question then will loom of who's going to be in 2nd place and who's got that killer instinct, because for Christopher Norris, he was just looking for an opening that just never happened. Yangling was blocking, defending, and did everything possible to hold back the 38, as Norris now, he's got the killer instinct of let's block Vincent Sora. Your teammate held me back. I'm going to try to hold you back now. Drifting and spilling out, almost dumping it was Christopher Norris, but keeps his nose ahead at this moment. But Sora ultimately had the better run, had to take that position away.
He had to take that spot away, and yeah, the 38 there is just going to go ahead and give it over to the 15, because I think you noticed that if they battle, they're just going to lose the overall time to Chase Schaefer. I mean, if you're Christopher Norris here, you got the older tires now, 1 lap older than Vincent Sora, 2 laps older than Chase Schaefer. You have to take a deep breath here, let the run come to you. You know you were quicker than Schaefer out front, who had that clean air. Maybe the 15 runs down the 41, your opportunity could still be there.
Still could be there. Trent Jump still staying out on track. Same for Larry Yingling. They're going to be stretching it out until they run out of fuel and going with the extreme pace later on and seeing how much time they can run down on the rest of the field. But again, it is a 1-lap difference between Chase Schaefer and Vincent Sora, 2-lap difference between Christopher Norris and Schaefer. And again, the long run pace looked to be in the advantage of everyone else behind the 41 machine. Now's the question of who can run down who. Other great battles, as you had the Chris Sora racing team battling Snowy Desert between Vincent Sora and Christopher Norris, while battling for 5th place, John Forbes and Danny Cochran are having a great duel between one another. Here's Mark Whitley and Thomas Green having a battle for 12th place, as Mark Whitley trying his best to stay in front of this newly numbered 61. As Jarrett Talmadge switching up that number heading into last week's race at Gateway. And Mark Whitley will take another position. That's up to 12th place now, and might be able to gain just a couple of more spots with Larry Yingling now going to pit road.
That's true. Whitley definitely doing a good job here of really recovering late in this race. So 77 going forward he's kind of lost touch to the 9 of Justin Campbell, who we saw earlier he was kind of stuck to. But at the same time, it looks like, you know, anything could happen here at this track. You know, big mistakes happen. So
whoa, there's a mistake. Jared Talmadge going with a slide for the 61 machine. Luckily, no one else around, so able to gather it back up. And all that time lost that he was battling with 77.
And that's the scariest feeling when you have that moment like the 61 had going down through down on these downhill corners. It's so wild. As no one in this battle here, like you said, was raging on with the 11 trying to hold back the 2 of Cochran, who knows how tough it was to get around this 11. I think he's going to be trying very quickly to get this done and not have the same amount of laps held up behind.
I mean, it's always fun. Again, we've been covering this series for so long, as Trent Jump now goes into pit road, giving the lead now to Chase Schaefer, who's been dominating this race. But we've been watching the ISRC Truck Series all the way since its debut race back in season 1, and seeing Danny Cochran, John Forbes, the evolution of constantly practicing with one another to kind of splitting in teams, not practicing as much to one another, but still having the respect. And now on track, the question is, how much respect are you willing to give, or is that bumper screaming out? And just give that driver in front of you just a little bit of a tap so you can take this spot away.
That is definitely on the mindset. I think a few of these is, look, here again, the 2's going to look up the inside. And that's a dangerous spot to do it. There's almost contact, as now it'll be up the inside here. You can, if you got to ride that curb, not able to put the power down. And the 11 of Forbes just doing a really masterful job of giving just enough room to get a good enough exit.
Yeah, I mean, right there is just textbook. How do you squeeze somebody, but also give that spacing like you were saying? And John Forbes will defend for 4th place, as Vincent Sora still 1.4 seconds behind Chase Schaefer. A lot of time needs to be run down, but we still have about 20 laps to go. As we will, I think, take our first commercial break of the night. As I know the racing action is getting hot and heavy, but for us, we have to step away for a quick moment. It's been a great call to watch these drivers go back and forth. The question then looms of who's going to have the better call at the end of the night of positioning for yourself. But for us here this evening, we will step away. When we come back, more racing action for the ISRC Layer Up Production Truck Series for the Polite Moose 200 at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. We'll be back right after this with more great racing. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISRC Larry Productions Truck Series, Season 7, race number 8, the Polite Moose 200 at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. It's been a fun one so far to watch. It's been all Chase Schaefer up front, but being run down by Vincent Sora. But did Vincent Sora overcook his tires? Is the true question, because the laps are ticking away, and the 15 has kind of gone to the same spot that Christopher Norris was in for the first half of this race. You can catch the 41, but passing him is a different story. Speaking about Christopher Norris, he is 4 seconds off our leader back in third, and we've had a nice duel for fourth place, John Forbes, Danny Cochran. But you've been watching throughout that commercial break the battle for 12th position. Cody Reed, Jared Talmadge, Larry Yingling. Talmadge has been struggling to make the pass over Cody Reed. He continues to follow in line, but I want to say thank you for joining with us on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up the booth as always on Monday nights is Zach Hall. And Zach, I mean, Chase Schaefer has looked so stable on this second run, and he continues to look strong, and he will hold back Vincent Sora for now over half a second. But this group of three, I mean, this has been a fun pack to watch throughout the commercial break.
It really has. This grouping has been wild because you got Yingling on the freshest tires of the group. He's got 2 laps fresher than Talmadge, but he's got about 7 laps fresher than the 25 on Reed. So it is definitely, the tires starting to show their age a little bit. For Reed, who's just, more of the road course regular guy, we know that's really strong in these things. He's trying to hold back 2 drivers who are on a little bit fresher tires and maybe trying to get around these limping old tires.
Other great battles are happening on track also is for 16. Joshua Stovall, Dakota Moniz, right before pit stop. That pit cycle started. Stovall was being caught and passed by Dakota Moniz, but with pit stops being made, Stovall was able to do the undercut, be able to pass the 5. Their duel is back on for the 16th position. But those are the big 3 battles that are happening for the lead for 4th, as well as the pack in the middle of the 4th grouping. Stovall and Dakota Moniz. We've had plenty of drivers, though, have issues throughout tonight's race. Austin Halsey doing a little bit of start park, same for Tyler Dangler. 2 drivers that have had major issues. Justin Sipes went off the track and kind of spun around and called it a night early. And then Isaac Shelley having issues with the 2 of Danny Cochran and made their contact. I know for Shelley, he's made a public statement in their Discord just saying, both sides had their own issues in that incident. We kind of felt the same way up here in the booth, and I'm curious, Zach, for Danny Cochran, if that's something that's going to be in the back of his mind for this race, or is it already behind him of, well, that situation happened, we'll deal with it after this race. I need a win, and I need it bad.
No, for sure. I mean, I think a lot of these drivers are in that position. They feel that way, and they're just, sometimes it's so easy in the heat of the moment just to make the wrong call as a driver. And, you got to go with what your gut says. So sometimes your gut tells you to do things that don't work out at the end of the day. So it's tough racing and really close-knit racing. That really is a tried and true thing here at ISRC. So these guys, they'll move on past that. I know that they're going to both be upset from their own point of views at the end of the day, but it's just good old hard racing at the end of the day, and that's how it works out. As Cochran close again to the back bumper of the 11, as you can see, it's just so tough to pass.
So hard to find an opening to go for these passes as that battle for fourth place, continues to rage on. John Forbes, Danny Cochran, going to be in line, but if Danny can get a better run, doesn't look like he'll be able to. Maybe could have had a chance to slide it down on the inside, push up the 11. But at this moment, it's all about finding the better exit, carry a little bit more speed than the driver ahead of you. And John Forbes has just been the driver who's hitting his marks and staying steady. We move up to the battle for the lead, though, as Chase Schaefer, Vincent Sora. This is the closest the battle's been for the past 8 laps. Sora now finally within a half a second, but it's always been around this zone that Schaefer just looks stronger through turns 5A and 5B. These quick, tight corners that they're dealing with before they hit the long straightaway of the Mario Andretti straightaway. This is what we call kind of the back stretch, where we have the kinks of turn 6 and 7 before the dangerous turn 8. And also, slightly in front of these drivers is lap traffic. They're catching up to Sam Garcia in the 50 machine.
That can play definitely a huge factor. I mean, Sora's been so quick everywhere, but I think, like you said, it's been the struggles through that turn 5 complex there, because I even talking to Sora a little bit before the race, I got a chance to, that is exactly where he complained about he could not find what he needed. So the rest of the sector of the track, you can see he just closes right in here through this back section. He looks very, very strong, and I think that's going to put a lot of pressure on Schaefer here to have great exits, and that's where you see mistakes starting to pop up when that driver gets full in that mirror.
There's that pink and white machine against Jimmy Garcia. Driver who's going to be fighting to stay on the lead lap, but going to be looking like the next victim to go a lap down. Looking back from Schaefer. See that 15 blinking in and out. It's been a regular occurrence throughout the season, but Vincent Sora trying their best. And as this battle of the lane has been happening, there was a swappage for fourth place. Danny Cochran finally able to get by John Forbes. The two will try to his best to run down Christopher Norris, but that is a 4-second gap lead that they have between third and fourth. As right on the back bumper is Vincent Sora, small tap, trying to get to that back bumper. Another small little tap. This is the best exit into turn B that we've seen from Sora. He's right on the back bumper of Schaefer. As Garcia stays low, that's a little bit of draft help that will assist the 41 to keep this lead for now. But Vincent Sora ducking low, going high. Inside lane will be defended by Schaefer. Sora, though, finds the opening, not able to get to the quarter panel. They'll stay in line into turn number 8.
Sora backs it up, though, through this section. You'll see he's been really good through these final 2 corners right here. Look, he's going to get right to the bumper, even going to open the corner up here a little bit with a little bit on the quarter panel. This is his chance here, powering off the exit, and he puts the power down. He's going to be alongside here as they cross the flag stand.
Forcing Schaefer to hit that rumble strip. There was the opening, and Chase Schaefer has to stay ahead. Cannot afford to see the 15 make this pass, but Vincent Sora, a veteran of this series, powers his way forward, keeps the nose, but Schaefer in the better defensive lane. Goff coming off the exit turn number 2. He needs to get on the throttle, keep a nose ahead. Sora able to keep it side by side into turn number 3. It's going to be seen the 41, the 15. If they stay side by side like this, Vincent Sora should be able to make the pass, but it's Sora not able to fully commit to this outside quarter panel pass yet. They still fight side by side into turn 5A. Sora positioning, Schaefer crossover move. Sora goes too wide. Schaefer's there on the inside, but not able to commit to the pass. Vincent Sora finally takes the lead.
Man, what a pass that was. He did it around the outside into turn 4. That is such a tough place to really commit when you're on the outside. The 41 gets loose going down the hill. The 15 then drives it deep into 5. The 41 tries to cross him over, and really just a great job from this sort of not allowing that 41 to shake him by going down the inside. He just set up the run coming off the corner. Now let's see if the 15 can break away, because the speed I've seen from his lap times, he should have the pace to drive away from this 41.
Yeah, I mean, Chase Schaefer really had the help in that first half of this race with Christopher Norris being kind of the gunner, not intentionally, but was just there, holding back the rest of the crew behind this 41. And now for Christopher Norris, his goal is now to try to run down Chase Schaefer and make a pass for second place as Vincent Sora makes his march forward. And now if you're the 15, it's don't make any more mistakes for yourself, and glory could be calling for the first time this season. I already have seen Vincent Sora's brother, Presley Sora, win back at Iowa. But here this season, I mean, Vincent Sora, a past champion of this series, won back in season 1, kind of in a dominant fashion, returned back last season after a long hiatus and was one of the major threats for a championship. But here tonight, finally getting a win, great 8 races in, would be crazy to think. But it's been so long since we've seen Vincent Sora in a victory lane.
It really would be crazy to think. I mean, you think about his stats all throughout the league series, not just here at ISRC. This kid is hard to beat on a week-in-a-week basis, and it just seems like it's been tough for him the past really few months here on iRacing. I think this win here could spark something. If he goes out here and he does pull off this checker flag, watch out for him, because this gets him hot before the playoffs, and that's what you don't want to see if you're his competitors. A hot Vincent Sora, because he will go out there and just have really, the confidence and ego grow from winning races like this.
Chase Schaefer had some issues not trying to stop blinking. Here's some other battles that are happening. It's for 9th place for the 9 machine and the 16. Joshua Kanata in 16, black, baby blue and pink, trying to hold back the 9 machine of Justin Campbell, both former Final 4 contenders in this series, as Campbell to the inside, able to make the pass off of Joshua Kanata. Kanata, entering tonight, Again, one of those drivers, it's not the most confident at a road course, but happy for a good top 15, top 10 run, and currently marching for a top 10 run in 10th place as Campbell, one of the drivers that started further on back, our biggest mover of the night, up 11 positions, now up to 9th place. And drivers further up ahead of him, battle that's soon to be creeping up, battle for 3rd, Christopher Norris, Danny Cochran. Danny Cochran's gonna have another attempt to try to get by this 38 machine.
Big mistake last time by for Christopher Norris, down in the turn number 7. He went completely off track last time by, so we'll see if he can navigate through this section well this time, because already Cochran within a second, and we saw the two. He has been aggressive tonight. He's been willing to make the moves, and it's just been mistakes that have kept him back with his speed he's showing right now. Let's see if he can continue to close the gap a little bit fresher, a 1 lap fresher tire difference too on this 2 machine, and about 2/10 quicker last time back.
No, for you Joshua Stoll fans out there, still battling with Kota Mamiz, who's just passed by the 5 or 16th position. Hoping to gain maybe a few more spots if possible. Other battles that are happening. It looks like Cedric Hunter having a slight mistake for the 13 as he'll lose 2 spots to Campbell and Joshua Kanata. 13 is going to have to resettle in and hope not to lose any more ground. As Mark Whitley is on the back bumper of this Hello Kitty machine. As see here of Cedric Hunter again was up to 8th place, then had a mistake, losing 2 positions, and now is in defensive mode and trying to hold back. One of the drivers willing to use the outside of these vehicles, knows you've got a body that can rub and racing. It's always the key when you talk about NASCAR. Mark Whitley in traffic, using up a little bit of the side panels, always a known combination late in these races.
For sure, he's definitely going to try everything in his power here to get by the 13 of Cedric Hunter, who has had a bunch of mistakes. He's also a much older tires, and look at this, locking up that left front. That is a huge mistake there from the 13, and not going to get a good drive here out of 5, and now you're going to have Mark Whitley all over your back bumper heading down the Mario Andretti straight. And it's going to be tough here for Hunter to hold back this 77, who just seems like he's got the pace advantage when it comes to this 13 now.
That's the pace advantage, but not the positioning to set up this pass just yet. Maybe again, going into turn 1 seems to be the better opportunities for some of these drivers, or just making a pass. So right now, it's setting up, putting the pressure. Cedric Hunter trying to hit his marks, but again, want to stay off those rumble strips. They are not your friend, even though they seem so appetizing to just roll over. As Mark Whitley touching the grass just slightly, going to kill his momentum, but both drivers are trying to run down Joshua Kanata, and that last lap, Kanata was slower than both Cedric Hunter and Mark Whitley. This 16, not in a safe place for this race just yet. It is still going to be ramping up till the end of this run. Also, other battles are happening. 12th place behind Mark Whitley and others is also Cody Reed, Jared Talmadge, Larry Yingling. That trio has not given up on this battle. They are still almost identically to where they've been for the past 10, almost 20 laps.
It's impressive that Reed has been able to hold these two off for so long, and like you said, I mean, it looks like a mirror image of what we've seen earlier. So great battle and fortitude from Cody Reed here in the 25, the hold back to 61 and the 67 of Larry Yingling and Jared Talmadge. So we'll see if this can continue on for much longer, because Reed has just got to hold on for 7 more times around here if he wants to hold on for that 12th position.
Hate to move away from this battle that we're seeing on screen, but we got to go up to 3rd place because Christopher Norris has a wall of drivers behind him. Just got by the lap car Samuel Garcia, but now you've got your teammate of John Forbes, and directly behind is Danny Cochran putting the pressure on Christopher Norris. Norris has to be careful here because this too looks like he's fast and not willing to be patient at this moment, but Danny's doing a good job. He's trying to put the pressure and force a mistake, almost identical to what we saw for Vincent Sora on Chase Schaefer. It's get on that back bumper, put all the pressure, and force the driver ahead and make the mistake. Instead, Danny Cochran throws it in there into turn 5, almost makes contact. The two doing all the work. Christopher Norris with a switchback move, though. They're going to be side by side on the long straightaway.
Great switchback from Christopher Norris there to clear the 2 machine of Cochran. Looks like he will finally get it done, but Cochran's going to have the draft now down the back straightaway here to see if he'll take another opportunity at the 38 machine. Now he's going to try to send it down the outside, and almost same contact between him and Isaac Shelley. The 2 turned in aggressively there. 38 there, but he's going to close the door here as they come to the final set of corners. And look, like you said, John Forbes right here too. This grouping's all grouping up together. And it's interesting too, because Christopher Norris seemed like had great long run pace in that first half of the race. Mistakes have been prevalent though in this run for him.
I think it was just that overdrive that we were seeing of trying to keep up with, trying to catch up to Chase Schaefer, frustrated on the fact that Larry Yingling was holding him back, was trying to keep up with Vincent Sora, instead of just running his own race that was naturally looking quick. Overdrove, killed the tires, now is just in pure survival mode is Christopher Norris with 6 laps to go. That's too many laps to try to hold back the 2 and the 11, but Christopher Norris is going to try every opportunity to run like his teammate Cody Reed and just hold back the rest of the field behind him.
Here's the 2 goes for the move, and he's going to move across and put himself on the nose.
And John Forbes says, thank you very much. I'll take both those positions and pull away. Garcia just closes in on the gap, and in a blink of an eye, you knew he was coming, and it was another dive bomb move into turn number 5. And Danny Cochran, and also going to be seeing the likes of Christopher Norris, that contact, not that friendly, not what you want to see. And now will Christopher Norris give any retaliation, or is it just fight on with all you've got?
And he's sliding in there. Now they're going to be side by side here through this section. This ain't going to end pretty.
No, it's not. More contact's going to be made. Danny Cochran's going to be pushing a little bit wide, forcing the 38 to back off. And for Danny Cochran, he's playing with danger. We know Christopher Norris, once he flips that switch, it is danger mode. But also when you flip that switch for Christopher Norris, where the aggression level's higher, more mistakes are made. And for Christopher Norris, I mean, you've fallen back from battling for, at one moment, thought he was going to have the lead. Now you're all the way back in 5th place, fighting for everything you've got. This is such a frustrating rest of this race. With 5 laps to go, I've got a feeling turn 5 is where we're going to see the fireworks show once again. Danny Cochran did a crazy dive bomb move. It's now Christopher Norris's chance, but that's if he stays close enough.
We'll see. Yeah, he's a good bit farther back than Cochran was. Cochran was willing to send it, but I don't think Christopher Norris is going to have the confidence to send it on the 2 there. But the 2
Danny
blows the corner.
Danny makes a mistake, and Norris just takes advantage. He didn't have to do a dive bomb move. He just takes the position away.
Oh, man, you got to wonder if just that little bit of having the 38 behind him maybe allows him to come off the brake a little bit sooner so the 38 can't get there, try to carry a little bit more speed. And, man, oh, man, this race has been full of crazy battles with some drama. Now can Christopher Norris kind of reel it back in and try to cool them tires down, because he's going to have to hold this 2 back, who's flying back up to his back bumper.
And here we go, another round, another chance. And Danny Cochran is right on that back bumper of Christopher Norris. Turn 5, hello, we can't wait. But we first got a couple of corners before then, as Danny Cochran and Christopher Norris, I mean, I got a feeling, Zach, I thought maybe turn 8 was the danger zone because of how crazy the wrecks we were seeing there in the first half of this race. But turn 5 late is where we're seeing all these dive bomb moves, and the 2 is setting up for another chance at this pass. Christopher Norris just does not look confident in this first section of the racetrack. He's given up so much time, but he needs a good run here. But Danny Cochran's close enough. He can go for another dive bomb move.
Just been struggling in the braking zones, it seems like, the 38. Just not willing to risk it like some of these others. Is look at Cochran just closes right up to him in the braking zone. So the 38 has definitely lost something this run that just hasn't worked out for him. Maybe just the tires not coming in right, like you said, got held up a little bit by Yingling, and maybe just drove just a little bit wrong on those first opening laps. And that's all it can take sometimes, is that opening few laps in the race just to overwork your tires too much. And man, oh man, it can really come back to bite you on that run. So 38 Norris is going to have his work cut out for him, because the 2 of Cochran is all over him.
And updates for driver battles further on back. Jared Talmadge finally, after 20 laps of battling, finally makes the move. A slight contact there off the entry of turn 10. Norris holds strong for this 4th place position. This 38 does not want to give up any more spots for himself. But Jared Talmadge finally able to get by Cody Reed. Reed now going to be under fire from Larry Yingling and back for that 13th position. Other great battles that are happening on track is for 9th, Cedric Hunter, Mark Whitley, and Joshua Kanata. Now those 3 drivers are on top of one another, but we got to go back to that battle for 4th, because you just know the fireworks continue to spark. When will it fully explode and emerge of who's going to be taking this position, or will neither driver hold on to 3rd, 4th, and 5th? As Danny Cochran right on the back bumper again as we make the climb up into turn number 5.
This is where he's been aggressive for sure. And oh, he's going to try to get back to the back bumper, loses the rear. And these two right here, how hard they're racing each other, it could ruin both their races if one of them just ends up doing a little too much, because man, they're definitely pushing for every little limit here.
I mean, it looks like Danny has given up on the dive bomb to get to the inside in that first turn in turn 5 at turn A, and is trying to set up for the exit onto the long straightaway. It's just not there. And every time you get to the apex of that turn A and B, right in the middle, it looks like Christopher Norris kind of backing off a little bit more and forcing the two to hit that back bumper. Now Danny Cochran right on the back bumper, slide tap, and it's going to get the 38 out of shape. Danny Cochran, though, gets wiggled and loose, and we're right back on it, and it's Norris holding on for fourth.
Oh, he put the two on the curb there. The two gets a little bit loose. This is, the push is going to come to shove here in a little bit. We've seen the two definitely be getting pretty aggressive, but I think that aggression level is only going to pick up more and more here as those two continue to probably bicker and fight back and forth here for this fourth position. Trenton Jump about 3.5 seconds back behind him. He said, go ahead, guys, do what you got to do, and maybe pull over and wreck for me, because I'll gladly take home that fourth position from me. As we look at our leader, Vincent, who's about 3.5 seconds out front. Vincent, it's been a tale of two different runs for him.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he almost got found himself dumped out in the grass and out of this race to a great recovery run where he got some help from his teammate that held back Christopher Norris from taking the lead position from Schaefer. Schaefer tried everything in his power to hold back to 15, but it just wasn't enough. And Vincent Sora, all the time, put into practice, is rewarded at this moment as he's coming around these final last couple of bends. And out of the exit of turn number 10, Vincent Sora takes the white flag here for the Polite Moose 200. This 15 has been on complete cruise control as he continues to dominate up front for this final lap around here at Motorsport Canadian Park.
Yeah, he's done a great job. Opened up about a 4-second gap. Now he's just got to bring it back home, as they would say. Is again, he's really done a good job of having that one mistake between him and Christopher Norris that shoved him off the racetrack to fight back after that. You know, he could have been out of it, but he never let him get down on himself, and he's been able to drive away as we jump back here to this fourth position as the 38 Christopher Norris trying everything to hold back this two.
The last couple of opportunities for Danny Cochran to take this fourth place position away. Are you willing to risk it? But it looks like Norris, given a complete opportunity, goes a little bit too wide, grazes the grass, had to back out of the throttle. He'll stay side by side as they go up the climb to turn 5A. Danny Cochran's in better positioning. Christopher Norris turns the two. Danny Cochran gets spun around, and Norris takes the position. The 38 pulls away. Thomas Green, Trenton Jump, they'll get by the two, and Danny Cochran falls to 7th.
Oh man, there's definitely going to be some upset people after that finish, but look at Vincent Sora.
Vincent Sora back into victory lane. The 15, it took way too long, but race 8 of the season, Vinny is back into the win column.
That he is, Vincent Sora, amazing job pulling that victory off, and one he thought maybe he couldn't do here after what I heard him talking about tonight. Didn't feel great, as this could be Christopher Norris bringing home fourth. It looks like Thomas Green will end up in fifth possibly if he can get back here.
And Thomas Green, and looked like Trenton Jump, they were side by side battling for it across the line, and Green will take fifth away. And he had a fabulous run there, catching up to Trenton Jump with 2 laps to go, and then Christopher Norris, Danny Cochran's incident giving another spot, so 5th place. Going to be heading to the likes of Thomas Green. We keep our camera on Danny Cochran because, in a sense, he's going to be trying to run down the 38 machine of Christopher Norris, but it looks like he'll slam on the brakes, thinks otherwise, and instead we'll move back over into Danny's teammate of Vincent Sora, going to be taking the win. And Zach, what a run. Like you said, didn't feel that great about it entering the night, but this is a classic Vincent Sora win of maybe he didn't feel the most confident entering the evening, but he learned, he adapted, and 15 back into the win column, and he's got to be loving it for himself here tonight.
I think you're exactly right. That was all about adapting. He really did. He just figured something out there, and it just really worked the tires in very beautifully. So great job by him. And I tell you what, this is great momentum builder for that 15 team as he's going to burn it down right here. As this is a tough little spot to burn it down. It's very narrow.
Very narrow, but who cares if you bend it? Just enjoy it. Vincent Sora's your winner here for the Polite Moose 200 at Motorsport. As he gets to have fun burning it down, we will step away. When we come back, we'll talk to our top three: Vincent Sora, Jay Schaefer, John Forbes, and a spotlight driver. We got a few drivers in mind. We'll debate on who's going to be that driver. We'll be back right after this. Let chaos reign, and it certainly did here tonight at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, as your Polite Moose 200 went to probably one of the drivers who was trying to be polite and ultimately found himself getting into victory lane. We pull Vincent Sora in. Vinny, finally back into the win column. I know this has been a long one for season 7 to finally get back into victory lane, but man, how are you feeling after that incredible redemption run after the early mistakes to ultimately taking the win?
I feel awesome. That was probably the best race I've driven on a road course ever, maybe even in general. Man, like you said, I'm finally back in the win column. It took me way too long. I've had so many slip away this season, I feel like, but I just wasn't going to be denied tonight. Qualifying didn't go my way because I did my lap early and then the track lost temp. So the guys who went out late just killed my lap time. And then early on in the race, I made a mistake that I thought was going to just completely kill my race. But I was driving with a purpose tonight, man. I wanted to get this thing back in victory lane so bad. And I want to be crowned the road course king again, but it's bittersweet because the guy who is right now wasn't even here tonight. So I'm excited. I think we have one more road course in the season, and I really want to go head to head with Nick one more time and solve this little road course king dispute.
Well, Vinny, it was definitely quite the performance, my friend. Able to work your way back up after going off track there, and I mean, I'm sure that took a lot of determination to get done. I mean, it seemed like, from the past few road course races, what Crawford has at least had over you is that longer run speed, but it seemed like tonight that was actually your big strength.
Yeah, I mean, I think another big thing to it was, um, I after he beat me last year at the Roval, I did the opposite of what I should have, and I just stopped putting time into the road courses. I didn't practice for Road America, and went in blind to that one. So I wrote myself off on that one early, but still got a pretty good finish. And I put a little bit of time into it this week, and found a good place for my truck. So I think I need to get back to working to get these road course wins because they're not going to be easy, as it was shown to be the case tonight. So yeah, I think I need to start practicing, and I can hopefully get a few more.
I mean, Vinny, when pit cycle was going on, we were thinking Christopher Norris was going to be the big factor to take the lead after the pit cycle was completed. Ultimately, though, you had your teammate kind of helping. What was the communication like with seeing Larry Yingling, yourself, and Christopher Norris in line? And Yingling was doing a great job holding you guys back.
Yeah, I mean, I think really what it boiled down to was just my pit stop. I had a really good entry because even with the undercut from Norris, he put a lap ahead of me, and I still gained like a second on him, and I pulled to the guys behind me. So yeah, I mean, Larry helped me a lot, by being in front of him for a couple laps. But Norris was hard to race tonight, man. He was kind of like the Ryan Newman. When I was behind him in that first run, he was blocking me, and the first time he blocked me, it was the reason that I made my own mistake. But yeah, I unfortunately I had to muscle him out of the way going down into turn one, and then I think he realized that he should just give it up, because I needed to get up to Chase as quick as possible. So yeah, thanks to Larry, he definitely held him up a little bit, but yeah, I settled things on my own terms.
It certainly was an incredible run to watch, Vinny. A great job here tonight. Enjoy it. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any more shout outs.
Yeah, just everybody in here tonight. We ended up having a pretty good turnout for a road course. I assume the numbers will pick back up for next week. I think we're going to Auto Club, so that one should be fun. Shout out to you guys for broadcasting, all the admins in the league, and my team at CSR.
Well, that will be your winner here tonight. Again, for the Polite Moose 200 here at Motorsport, Vincent Sora in the 15, back in the win column for season 7. Vinny, enjoy this one, and good luck next week at Auto Club.
Thank you, boys. Have a good one.
You too. As we move down to a driver that, shockingly, this weekend, we saw his name pop up, thought he would return. We got Chase Schaefer. Last time he ran in this league was back the last time we ran here at Motorsport. Chase, you almost dominated this race completely to the end, but you come away in second instead. How are you feeling? You make a quick return and you come away with the pole and then second place to finish it off.
Yeah, it's a pretty good return. I promise it wasn't coincidence I came back on this track, but yeah, it was a fun race. I honestly don't even know what happened there at the end. I felt like I was being easy on the tires. I wasn't trying to push it all that much, but I guess it just wasn't enough. But yeah, it was a really fun race. Good group of guys. Yeah, it's just an hour or 15 of just wheeling this thing around there, so can't complain about that.
Definitely was a great battle, and welcome back to the league here, Chase. Good to see you back out here competing with these guys. I mean, that's kind of where I was going to go. Is like, this is your first race back in since that season that you won the race here at Motorsport. How do you come in here and know how to race some of these certain guys because you haven't raced around them much?
I mean, I can't really say. I kind of just, raced everyone. Like I definitely was pinching some people. I felt like everyone but I felt like it was fair. I felt like it was clean, hard racing. I knew they probably wouldn't overstep their bounds. I didn't overstep my bounds. I feel like maybe someone disagreed about that, but yeah, I thought it was really fun. Uh, but yeah, especially just running so close in those corners again. Like I felt like minimal space, but it was just hard racing. Like I'm not upset I got second. That was a lot of fun.
I mean, it was a blast for us to call and watch, Chase. I don't know how much of the schedule you've looked at, but our next 4 races being Auto Club, New Hampshire, Charlotte, and then the 2008 configuration of Atlanta. Any of those races popping up that you feel like you could find success? Because we know that you're going to be a strong driver at almost every track we go to.
I think I like old Atlanta. It used to be one of my worst tracks, but I've been real good there with the Xfinity car. I kind of figured it out, so I'm excited to go there. And what'd you say, Charlotte? You said they're oval or the oval?
We're going to the Oval of Charlotte here in a few weeks.
Oh, Charlotte's kind of hit or miss with this car, so we'll see how we do there. But usually the intermediate, I just need to get better with the dirty air. trying to run Road to Pro again next year, so I just need to get a little bit more accustomed to it. So I'm excited for whatever the season has to throw at me.
Well, we're excited to have you back, Chase. It was awesome to see you up front as we've seen you back in season 5. And before we let you go, though, the floor's now yours for any more shout outs.
Follow Monster Designs on Twitter and Instagram, and Speed Ranch E setups. I got some good dirt setups. We'll be repping them for Road to Pro next year. Thank you.
Well, the return of Chase Schaefer proving that he is still a threat to watch out for second year tonight. Chase, enjoy this one and good luck next week at Auto Club.
Yep. Thank you for welcoming me back.
As that 41 machine, like we said, going to be a threat to watch out for. Excited Chase is back, but a driver that is already proven that he's a factor to watch out for each and every week. We fall down to third position where we find the 11 of John Forbes. John, you got a great viewing, probably a better view than us at times watching some of these great battles. You were in the middle of them as well. How are you feeling coming away with third place finish here tonight?
Yeah, I'm just excited to do that race and be around people the whole time because usually how these things go is like the top 3, it's 5, whatever, it will be like faster than me on pace over the long run, and everyone behind me will be slower. So I finished the race and I got like a 20-second gap to the guy in front, like a 20-second gap to the guy behind. I'm like, dang, I feel like I was doing time trial for an hour. So tonight was awesome. I mean, I was actually thinking when some of these battles are going on, I was like, this has to be one of the greatest road course races. Like you guys have had the honor of broadcasting for us. There was just stuff happening the whole race, just beating and banging, and it was hard because I was talking to Vincent about this. Like you get side by side with somebody, and it just killed your speed. Like, and I noticed this too because some of the guys ahead of me would like break apart, or I get side by side, and all of a sudden it's like a 3 or 4 car battle because you could not stay side by side. It would just kill your momentum, and people get sucked in. But it produced some great battles tonight, and definitely glad to walk away with third place finish. Witness all the chaos. We were able to get through it, and overall it was a pretty solid, quick night for us.
It definitely was a wild night of racing, John. I tell you what, you guys were brawling up front. They were doing it throughout the mid pack too. So it was overall definitely a great race. It did look tough to pass, like you said. When you got side by side, everybody went so much slower. I mean, take us through that one moment because we seen you were trying to hold back Danny Cochran, and it was not easy. He seemed like he was definitely willing to make the big moves.
Yeah, I feel like it's so hard to pass on this track, and a lot of the corners, like you got to give yourself like adequate braking space for. You're gonna go right off the track, and Danny would get like right on me, and then he would like try to dive it in. There was a lot of times where I was like, oh, I might go off right here. I was locking up the brake, trying to prevent him from getting under me. But then when he did, like in turn 5, he got under me quite a few times, and it was just killing our pace. Like I was getting pretty frustrated at it because I mean, later in the race, he cleanly passed me real nice. He got the runoff of out of 6 and before the long straightaway, and got me like completely fine. But there was plenty of moments in that race where I was like, man, I don't want to be side by side right now. It's gonna kill our momentum. And I just saw Norris, everybody driving away from us. But that's how the truck goes here. I mean, it's hard to pass, and you gotta be willing to risk it, and that's what Danny was willing to do tonight. And it was clean overall, but yeah, we had our moments. But yeah, it was a good one.
I mean, the aggression level certainly was kicking up here tonight, John. We're heading to tracks where aggression's going to be the key if you want to get yourself in a victory lane, with Auto Club, New Hampshire, Charlotte, and Atlanta being the next 4 before the regular season is over. What are you hoping goal-wise to hit in these next 4 races before we get into the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much to worry about. So, I mean, honestly, for me, it's just trying to get out there and get some wins. Obviously, I want more than just the Daytona win I have right now, and we're consistently up there every week. And honestly, for me, it comes down to making the wrong decision. That has just gotten me out of a few of these races. Like last week was up in the lead and decided to come down pit road. A few guys stayed out, and I was just recovering from there the rest of the race, even though it put me down to like 10th place. It's just a lot of these tracks, it's so hard to pass in the truck with the new update, and it's a lot of one-line racing. Like we'll see at Charlotte, you're just running the top, and it's like it was last season. It's just like who can run the highest at the top and try to get some momentum off, but then you get to the bottom and you can't pass. So it's going to be definitely track position based, and we've been qualifying real good the last couple weeks. I think I just came off of 2 poles in a row, I'm pretty sure. So just going to be keeping the momentum up, and we will make it back to victory lane a few more times. I think the decisions from here is just keep it up front, even if it doesn't seem like it's like the best decision. If there's not too much risk involved, just staying out and keeping the thing up front, the clean air. I think it's really important in these trucks.
It seems like a solid strategy to watch out, John. Congratulations on a top 3 run. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any more shout outs.
Yeah, I just gotta thank Jay Performance being on the truck the whole season. Hot Lap Threads, Danny. I have some new designs coming out soon on the shirt side of things, merch side of things, and Justin Forbes for making the schemes for me all season. Might have a cool one for the month of October coming up here with the cool spec map and stuff. So be on the lookout for that one. And want to thank you guys for putting these on. I'm glad we put on a good show tonight.
It certainly was an incredible one to watch. It was hard to even find a spot to bring out a commercial break because how great it was. But John, thanks for giving us such a great show. Congratulations on top 3, and good luck next week at Auto Club.
Thank you guys. I'll see you then.
Well, from what seemed like pretty simple, not too much chaos, we head to our chaos pick of the night. We had a couple of drivers in mind, but ultimately we went with fourth place finisher in the 38 of Christopher Norris, to part of the incredible battle we got to see there in those final 10 laps. Norris, you come away 4th here tonight. At moments you thought you probably could win this thing, but ultimately it looked like it was just survival there late. How are you feeling coming away 4th after the grueling war you just went through?
I don't know. I'm just here. I mean, like you said, I was battling for the win, and I pit, and then I came back out, and I get held up, and then the leader passed me, and then Vincent passed me, and then Danny tried to pass me, and then yeah, I mean, it was an up and down race. I felt like I was a little bit nauseous there when I was trying to battle Shane. I mean, not Shane, um, Chase Schaefer. So I try to get around him. I mean, he's one heck of a guy to hold you off. I mean, I'm not as good as I used to be, I think. I mean, I can't pass. I don't know why, but passing is not my thing, so I can only get past. I mean, I can pass Danny, but I had to the extracurriculars to do that. But pretty much all I did is get past tonight. I tried to pass Chase Schaefer. I mean, I was faster than him at times. Especially on the first one, I think I was a lot faster than pretty much everyone else was, but I couldn't pass him, so I mean, he's a pretty good driver. He whooped me the last time by 7 seconds here in season 5. So my goal was to beat him tonight, and that didn't happen. But we made the try to move the cut to undercut him a little bit by pitting 2 laps early. But I mean, that comes with it's a good and a bad thing. Like, it put me in the situation where I ended up being behind Larry, which Larry, I mean, it's not his fault. He's running his own race. So it made it, with him not being hard to pass and me not knowing how to pass, it took me a minute to pass him. So Vincent caught back up to me, and I lost about a second and a half there. So I think that's a second and a half I lost and possibly taking the lead, because I was like, Chase came out a second and a half ahead of me. So that kind of sucked. And then I was like, okay, let's switch my mindset. I'm gonna let Vincent by. I'm gonna save my tires. So I tried that, and then it was like 4 seconds ahead of me, and I was like getting disappointed. I was like, man, it's just like I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm saving my tires, but they're not coming back to me, and I'm trying to push. I started to push a little bit, and I'm like, they're running 121s. Why aren't I running 121s? So I started to push a little bit, not enough to burn my tires up, but to try. That didn't work out, so then I got disappointed a little bit more, and then I was like, change that mindset again. Let's just go try to push again. I tried that, didn't work. Danny got past John. Danny got to me. He drove by my inside. I let him go. I got the undercross back. I went back by, and then he did it again. I blocked it a little bit. I still left the lane open, but I guess not enough where I just got shoved and he got shoved off the track. So I shouldn't have done that, I guess. But I guess him dive bombing me twice was a clean move by him. So then, of course, I'm not a happy camper when I get shoved off the track. So I race him pretty hard. I mean, that's what kind of happens when you do that kind of thing. Like, when you run someone off the track. I mean, it could be my fault for blocking him there, and I'm sorry for yapping so long. But essentially, we went back in the same situation where I made it on the last lap, made an issue in turn 4. So he got back to me again, and I went for a crossover. I didn't try to turn in yet. I was just pinching him down. And I think, unfortunately, some netcode maybe incident, but we were going to make contact anyway. So I didn't mean to spin him. I didn't want to spin him, but that's just how it ended. And I ended up P4. I mean, decent points day, but hey, I'm here.
Definitely a wild and eventful one, Christopher. I'll tell you what, we definitely we were trying a hard time trying to keep up with it all. It just seemed like everything was happening every single lap up here in the booth. But you talked about how, like, you felt like the pace just kind of didn't last there. You didn't feel like it came in that well that last run. I feel like the track went through any changes. Maybe the weather changed a little bit, because definitely seemed like a big flip of a switch from one run to the next for you.
Yeah, I mean, the second issue in the second run, um, I had a brake bias thing where, like, it just didn't feel right. It felt perfect. I was driving a dream of a setup in the first run, but the second one, no, I was not. I should have had my brake bias in a certain setting instead of a certain setting it was. So I cranked that thing back, and I should have. I shouldn't have put it where I did it, but it worked for me before I got the win, but not that time. I mean, I just gotta settle it up. I don't think I'm gonna win here this season, and I don't know. I just gotta figure out something. These guys know something that I don't, so I need to find that.
I mean, Norris, looking over at the points, you're still in a solid position, even though you're around that bubble, that cut line. With the way that the point system works now, you're still looking to be pretty good because of the points that you have over 13th on back. What is your ultimate goal, though, for these final 4 races? Is it try to go for a win? Like you said, you're not feeling that comfortable, or is there some other goal that you're ultimately going for?
I mean, making the playoffs is good, but I mean, I don't know yet. I'm not really having fun driving these trucks anymore, so if I can win one, that'd be great. Just get one last win and see what happens from there. But I would like to win, but making the playoffs is the ultimate goal, of course, and just seeing how I can finish in the chase format. I mean, it's a new format, so I want to see what that leads to, and maybe I can get a win in the chase and come out with a championship. But with the talent in this league that's built from Vincent to Chase coming back to, like Presley, he's a dominant on the ovals. It's just I gotta find something, and that something is out there. I just need to grasp it.
It certainly is going to be a fun one to watch once we get to the playoffs, Norris. We're looking at it. You're actually bumped up to 8th in points, so a lot more of a comfortable position moving forward. Before we call it a night for yourself, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Of course, I want to give a shout out to you guys because I just yapped for the last 6 minutes. I feel like that's probably the longest interview. I apologize for that, and the viewers for listening to me talk. Of course, Nick, he's one of my teammates. I'll shout out my other teammates here in a second, but Nick wasn't here tonight. I hope you're feeling better. I know you're probably listening in bed, resting up, so can't wait to see you back on track next week. My other teammates, John and Nick. John, help me out, give me some pointers to hopefully try to get that lead. Unfortunately, was able to do it, but it is what it is. Cody, good finish by him, 14th, coming from the back. That's still pretty good. The other admins, Martin and Tyler, we just try to put on a great show, of course, every single week. Unfortunately, it hasn't been like that all season, but it is what it is. The viewers out there for watching, our presenting sponsors, and my family for downstairs watching. Probably disappointed I didn't finish first, but hey, it is what it is.
It's still an impressive run for yourself, Norris, and the fact that you came away 4th with all the battling that happened is still impressive. Congratulations on 4th place, and we hope for the best heading into Auto Club next week.
Thank you.
As that will be your interviewers here tonight. Crazy evening, a lot of great battling, some unfortunate wrecks started up front and now ultimately at the end of this race, but the one driver that's happy with the way that it ended going to be the 15 machine of Vincent Sora. As we take a look at our unofficial results here this evening, Vinny's back into victory lane after his last win being the second to last race of last season. Took him a while, but it took 8 races. Now going to be in a position where he feels a lot more comfortable and will be taking the points lead into next week at Auto Club. Second place, returning driver Chase Schaefer. What a run for the 41 machine with his return here in season 7. Second will be John Forbes. Christopher Norris 4th. Also got to give kudos to Thomas Green. What a run for himself after his win last week. He's starting to catch fire in the momentum scale for the 18. 6th will be Trenton Jump. 7th, we found the 2 of Danny Cochran. 8th place is Justin Campbell with Mark Whitley. 9th, finishing out our top 10, it's going to be Cedric Hunter, but I think that Danny Cochran battle with Christopher Norris is going to be legendary. I think ultimately a lot of issues throughout tonight that might carry over into next week.
They very well could. You know how that can happen for sure here in the past. So definitely some tough finishes for some of those guys. But some of these guys farther down the leaderboard definitely had some tougher nights too. I mean, Cody Reed back in 14th, I think he would have wanted more from a road course, but he had to start out back, so that made it tough for him. Presley Sora got involved in an incident, had the fall lap down back in 19th. Morales going to end up 2 laps down. Dingler going to be 42. Shelley, of course, the battle back there for him was battling for 3rd. Him and Cochran, he ends up 22nd. And Sipes and Halsey both out early in this race too. So definitely tell of 2 different ends of the race, but man, it had plenty of events going on here at Canadian Tire.
Some drivers still in that wild position of a must-win with how the points are looking after tonight. As now Nick Crawford, after missing this evening, he will be the bubble driver in 12th place, but has a 32-point advantage over Danny Cochran. So that's going to put 13th on back. If you want to make the playoffs, a win might have to be in your distant future. But here's what the future looks for us here this week. As we just finished up Monday, tomorrow night we've got the Challenger Racing League as they start their brand new playoffs as they get to test out the first round at Kansas tomorrow night. Wednesday officially over. Congratulations to our very own Zach Hall, who took the crown for the Season 9 championship, as WSSR will be off all of October. They will be back November 6th for Season 10. Crazy to think it's been a decade of, well, going to be 10 seasons in. A lot of great racing we've seen so far. We were going to have racing this Thursday, but with the hurricane that hit Florida and a lot of drivers not having power or internet, they're actually going to be delaying that race to next week. So we will not be covering this Thursday of the Doghouse Cup Series. We cannot wait for next week as they will be going to New Hampshire, but only 2 races this week. Going to be a quick one, Zach, but still some great racing that we have seen all throughout this year.
No doubt, Sam. It's been definitely some great racing. Thank you again for shouting me out for that championship. Definitely very happy I can pull that off for all of us here at Freaky Fast too. Represent us well. But it was quite a season so far for ISRC. The Challenger League is getting in their mix, and again, I think we'll be back with, like you said, with Doghouse next week, to where those guys will be back in full action. So it's a great time here at Freaky Fast, and I'm gonna use my time as a broadcaster here for some fun, and my time off as a driver for some fun too.
Certainly is going to be a great off month for yourself on Wednesdays, but certainly has been incredible to see the racing action that we got to see here this evening. The Polite Moose 200. Some drivers brought out the politeness and showing off their Canadian pride. Others brought out a little bit of ruthlessness, and ultimately it was Vincent Sora that takes the win here this evening. I want to say thank you to everyone that joined with us tonight, as it was an awesome road course race. The extra 10 laps really did bring in the drama here at Canadian Tire. We cannot wait for next week because we saw how Michigan went down. Will Auto Club be the same? Don't want to miss it. Next week's action is going to be great. But for this evening, for myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, for Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you so much for joining with us on your Monday night. We will be back next Monday at Auto Club. Otherwise, see you tomorrow for the Challenger Racing League. We also want to say, give our thoughts and prayers to all those affected by the hurricane that hit over the weekend. Again, I know it's influencing racing action that we're covering, but ultimately it's lives that were affected. And thoughts and prayers to all those that were affected by the storms. But for tonight, thank you so much for joining with us. It was a pleasure to give you the call. Vincent Sora is back on top. Can he continue with this momentum, or will someone else try to take a victory for themselves? We'll have to find out next week as we head to Auto Club. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow night, the start of the playoffs for a first season. Who will take the crown for the Challenger Racing League? We'll find out tomorrow night at Kansas for our next Freaky Fast broadcast.